When you're getting ready to go RVing, your tires are probably not at the top of your checklist. I mean, you're thinking about packing, you're thinking about hitching up, and ultimately you're thinking about getting to your destination. But your tires are what are going to get you there, and I want to talk about that today in this episode of Travels with Delaney. Hey everyone, my name's Patrick, and if this is your first time here, I'm so glad you stopped by. We have been RVing now for almost 20 years. We've owned 11 different RVs. Today what I wanted to do was talk a little bit about tires and tire safety. Now, what's actually spawned this conversation for this video is my aunt and uncle from Texas were up for a couple months earlier this fall, and when they started out to head back to Texas, in their brand new fifth wheel, they had a tire blowout alongside the interstate. They were 45 minutes from their destination, and they sat alongside the interstate for a couple hours before they could get somebody to come out and help them get the tire changed. And it got me thinking, could that have been prevented? Now, there's a few things we should always be checking before we head out on the road with our RVs, and looking at our tires is definitely one of them. We should be looking for things like the tread, and that's always a good indicator of the tires. However, that's not the only thing. I also want to check my tire pressures. I always make sure I'm at the recommended tire pressure for the particular tire and RV. And if you're wondering, how do I find that out? Well, most likely your RV is going to have a sticker somewhere on it that is going to tell you exactly what PSI your tire should be set at, and ours, 80 PSI. Now, one other thing I recommend checking that I try to do anytime we head out is I like to check the lugs on the tires, because we did have a situation one time where we had an RV that had hubcaps on it, and I heard a clanking as I was going through the campground, so I stopped, tried to figure out what it was, popped that hubcap. We had one lug off, we had two loose. That could have been disastrous. So I just always like to make sure I put a little tension on those, make sure they're set the way they should be before we haul, because the last thing you want is a tire coming off going down the road. Now, I mentioned checking your tire pressures, but tire pressures can change while you're hauling, and that's really what I want to talk to you about today is if everything checks on your tires, is it possible you could still have an issue while towing? And the answer is yes, because like I mentioned, my aunt and uncle's RV was only a year old and they had a tire blowout. Tires had the right pressure, the lugs were tight, the tread was good on them, and yet they had a problem. But could they have known they were going to have a problem? And I think it's possible the answer is yes. And so we're going to talk about tire pressure monitoring systems today. And I want to show you one that I have purchased. Nobody sent it to me. I just bought this on Amazon, got a really good deal on it. Want to give it a try out, see if it actually works, because this one is much cheaper than the one we currently run. Now, if you've been following our channel for any time, you'll know we use the Tire Minder TPMS system. We've been using this since 2021, and quite frankly, it has done really well for us. In fact, I think it saved us from having a potential blowout situation. Last year, I had the tires at 80 PSI when we left for Florida at Christmas, except here it was below freezing, which meant by the time we were getting ready to enter the state of Florida, the pressure had really built. And it was our TPMS that alerted us by beeping constantly to tell us we had high pressure in one of our tires. In fact, they were all approaching that level. And so that told me it was time to pull off, ended up letting out some of that air because it had warmed throughout the day, and that possibly saved us from an issue. Now, this is one of those devices that you hope you never need per se. It's more of a peace of mind and a safety type device, but this is just the little monitor that came with our TPMS from Tire Minder, and it shows me all four tire pressures. Now you can see mine are currently low because we haven't traveled in several months, and the fact that it's gotten cold out here in Indiana again. And like I said, it has worked really well for us. The problem is it is somewhere between $200 and $300, and not everybody wants to spend that much money, because as you know, when you own an RV, accessories can really start to add up into the hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. I mean, by the time you buy your TPMS, you get your surge protector, you get all these things that you're going to need, it gets very costly. And so it got me thinking, had my aunt and uncle have had a tire pressure monitoring system in their truck, would they have known something was going wrong? My guess is that would have showed up. They could have got off the side of the road, let it cool, and then gotten to the next exit where they could have gotten service. But they don't currently have one, and I thought, you know what? I think I'm going to buy them one for Christmas. I originally thought about getting them the Tire Minder, but a lot of you are always saying, Patrick, I wished you would try some of the lower price products to let us know if they're worth investing in. And so I did that, and if it's decent, they're going to get it for Christmas. If not, we're going to send it back, and we're going to get them a tire minder. Let's go inside the RV, and let's take a look at what I bought. So I purchased this TiMate tire pressure monitoring system. Now, I ended up getting this on sale with tax for $57. It had really good reviews, and I thought, let's try it for that price. So let's see what we have in the box. Now, when you open it up, you get a little instruction booklet. There appears to be some kind of little rubber mount for this one. This one's a little different than my tire minder. All I can figure out is somehow this will just attach, you put this on your dash, and this is going to hold it. You can see the display screen is in the front, so it's a lot smaller. But here's the thing, I honestly don't look at the display that often, because what I'm listening for is the audible alerts if there is an issue. And it also has a little solar panel, I don't know if that's showing up, on the top. So as it's in your dash, the battery will stay charged from solar, which I thought was kind of cool. And then we have the 4 sensors. We're going to screw these on to the tire stems, and those are going to connect wirelessly to our monitor. And that's the way all of these basically work. They also sent me this little, well, it's some kind of tool, and from what I can tell, it's designed so that we can tighten these up. They fit right in there, and we can use this to tighten them up or to untighten them off of our tiles. I kind of like that, actually, as long as they don't lose it. And then finally, in this last bag, what we get is we get a charging cable. It's a USB-C, USB-A, so that if you do need to charge the monitor back up, you can, and that's what I did. I fully charged it ahead of time. They also gave us some O-rings, which I'm guessing are for, these probably all have a small watch battery in them, so in case those go bad for sealing. And then we have lock nuts so that we can actually lock these onto our tires, so that, you know, they don't come off going down the road. And then finally, a little wrench that we'll use to kind of lock those down. And that's it. That's what you get for under $60 if it's on sale. Now, if it's not on sale, I believe it's under $70, which isn't too bad. The problem is, as I was looking through all of this last night in preparation for this video, and it didn't even dawn on me until I was looking through the manual, and they talk about an optional signal booster. Well, guess what? Our tire minder came with a signal booster. It's just a little device that we mounted in the front of our fifth wheel that ties into your 12 volt. I literally clipped it to the batteries. And this doesn't have a booster. So it made me wonder, will this even work as is, or will we have to buy for an additional fee the booster? And I believe when I looked up the booster, it was around $60. So all of a sudden, my really good value did almost double in price if we need that booster, which I'm pretty sure we're going to need. But it's still going to be half the price or more of our tire minder, and it may do just the trick. So here's what I want to do is I want to go ahead and get one of these sensors put onto one of our tires here on the RV, and then we're going to take the monitor up to the truck, and let's just see if we can actually get a signal from that. Now, one of the things I like about these is they actually labeled the sensor, so you know where they go. Left front, left rear, right front, right rear. Not sure what they consider left and right, but for now, we're just going to go ahead and install one here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull off my tire minder sensor, and mine were locked on. Again, with these, we're not going to worry about locking them on. And you can see, really simply, I'm just going to screw it on, and there it is. We are on. Now let's grab our monitor and see if it's sensing. All right, I don't know if this is going to show up on camera. And this was one of the complaints that I saw online, is the display is a little hard to read. So I can tell, though, it's reading 67 pounds, which I believe is what my tire minder was reading. Let's go up here and see if we're still reading it, or if I'm going to need to order that extender for my aunt and uncle if I keep this one. The other thing is, it has a protective film on it here. I was going to leave that on since it's a gift. All right, I took that protecting film off thinking maybe it'd show up better. I don't think it did, but I did go ahead and take a photo, which came out great with my iPhone of it, so you can see what the display actually looks like, and I'll pop that up if I haven't already. Now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and install another one and see if it will register up there in the truck once we get it on. All right, I went ahead and took off my tire minder one, and now we will install the TimeMate one. You can see how easy this is, and I don't even have to use that little tool. I do recommend doing this with your slide outs in. It is much easier to do that way. So now what we'll do is we'll head back up to the truck and see if we have a reading. All right, I'm not sure this is showing up, but I can always pop up a photo, but it immediately sensed it. So yeah, so without the extender, it does seem to be picking up. And even though my uncle's trailer, I believe, is 2 feet longer, you can see that I'm not even hitched up. So we would actually be closer than we are right now. So I think I'm going to probably go ahead and give it to them without the extender. And then if they do have issues with it, then I can order the extender for them. But if we don't need the extender, then why spend another 60 bucks or whatever that is? I'm going to go ahead and remove the TimeMate and give it a second here. There you go. That is what it's going to sound like. There you go. That's what the alert, and it's alerting me that we have low tire pressure at 0. So, because I have uninstalled it. And to silence it while you're driving, all I had to do was, right here on the top, there are 4 buttons. I just had to push one and it shut it down. Now, there is an instruction manual, because what you will have to do with any other TPMS is you'll go in and set what your tires should be set at so that it knows what the pressure should be, and then you can adjust that for each of the 4 tires. I'm not going to do that right now. Usually it's pretty simple to go through and do, but will this work? I think it will. And I think for somebody who is cost conscious, it's probably going to be better than not having anything at all. With these products, until you actually use them for any length of time, it's hard to say, yes, definitely buy this. But you can look on Amazon at the reviews, and that should give you a sense as well. Like I said, the one thing I noticed on the reviews that people did complain about was just the fact that you couldn't make the screen brighter. But like I said, I don't usually look at my screen that much. I'm waiting for those audible alerts to let me know there's a problem. Then you would be able to pick it up and use it, that type of thing. TimeMate TPMS. I'll put a link for this down in the description of this video if you want to. When you click that link, it does support our channel. We get a small commission. And again, I'm not recommending this per se, but if you just want to go in and check out, click that link. It'll take you right to this one, and then you can look at all the other ones out there. And again, if you're willing to spend more money, we highly recommend the tire minder. It's been really good for us over the last 3 years. All right, that's it. That's my advice for things you should look for in your tires and a way to possibly prevent a major disaster where you have a blowout. My aunt and uncle were very lucky. No damage to their RV, but I have seen RVs where underneath just gets ripped up by tire coming apart and ripping off all kinds of parts and pieces from their RV. And this just might be a way to help reduce that risk. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for taking time to watch today's video. And until next time, we'll see you on down the road. Bye.
Travels with Delaney. We'll see you on down the road.